So the one that I wanted to actually introduce today and talk a little bit about is this company named Linear. So Linear last week announced a Series B of about $35 million, led by Excel. I saw some rumors that it's rumored to be around a $400 million valuation, but I'm not actually sure whether or not that's true. And I've been watching this company for probably about a year, 18 months now. I've been very fascinated from the outside about it because it seems like they've been experiencing some really good growth as evidenced by this round. And they've also been doing it profitably. So kudos to that team for doing that for the past year. But the reason I'm fascinated with Linear is that for all intensive purposes is that it's Jira or one of the many other issue or task managers for development, but with a modern UX applied. So very clean, minimal UI, kind of dark mode, lots of keyboard shortcuts, designed for speed, very similar to Superhuman if you've ever used Superhuman for email. And to be clear, I don't mean this in like a negative or a reductive sense. I actually really like the product and wish Reforge used it. So womp womp, but like maybe we'll be out there at some point. But I did also read through a bunch of user reviews on people switching or why they were adopting Linear. And it's funny, like these are the exact reasons people mention. They are like, it's, better UI, it's simpler. They're not really mentioning any sort of like big new feature innovation. And there was this article posted by this guy, Pierre-Paul Ferland, is I think how you pronounce it. And it's titled, Linear is the lean Jira we've been dreaming of. And he has this line in there that says, Linear seems built with the premise of making a Jira that does not suck. And quote unquote, like that was his like TLDR, which I thought like encapsulated it. But I think the reason this all leads to is that it highlights a pattern that seems to repeat itself. Huge market, people start to hate the incumbent, new product comes in with modern UX, but no real like quote unquote innovation. And Ravi pointed out a bunch of examples of this in a chat we were having, before recording this. PeopleSoft to Workday to Gusto/Rippling, Adobe to Sketch to Figma, WebEx to BlueJeans to Zoom, Salesforce to HubSpot, and now there's like a bunch of like AI CRMs coming out as well. And so I just wanted to start off, I wanted to open up the conversation of why does this trend exist? Like, why can you actually build a really incredible company by essentially taking an existing product category and just layering on a modern UX?
Yeah, so at Outpace, we actually started with Jira. We were using it probably for about a year, and then we switched over to Linear about 9 or 10 months ago. And there are a few reasons why we switched. I think that Jira as it's evolved, it's just gotten more and more complicated. You can tell that as a product team that they're getting lots of requests from the sales team about what different clients need, and they just continue to layer functionality on top of functionality. And yes, that makes it extremely powerful and extremely flexible and very customizable. But at the same time, it makes the basic core use case really difficult. And one of the things that just got so much simpler is just the process of filing a bug. Filing a bug is something that, if you're in the middle of building software, you're going to be doing it often. It's a repeated use case. It's something that you're spending a lot of time on. And it's something like that if it's not as easy as it could be, you may not even bother filing the bug. It might be too difficult, and then your software quality suffers as a result. And the Jira process is really difficult, even getting to Jira. So I have bookmarks on Chrome for different views into Jira because I could never actually get back. Like every time I found I was going into Jira, I'd end up at the admin console or I'd have to figure out what specific project we were using. So just navigating to the actual interface where you're doing your work was pretty challenging. And then the process of filing a bug is really challenging. And so that core, that 90% of time that we were spending was much more streamlined on Linear versus Jira. Linear can't do everything that Jira can, but it does the 90% case much, much better in a much simpler way.
Yeah, so I think it sounds like one thing you're saying is like, look, products tend to get more complex over time as they respond to user feedback, respond to things like customizability, et cetera, and tend to build with their customers in mind, which is exactly what we should do. And I think you wrote a blog post on this called like the power user trap, right? Which is that you're building for power users and that makes your product more and more complex over time. And I think like one of the reasons like growth teams exist, one of the jokes I make is like the growth team exists to remember that the new customer exists and like make sure that that person's experience continues to matter in a complex product. And I think for sure Jira has that and other bug trackers have that problem. They are deeply customizable. They're like really easy to like make fit your workflow perfectly. But that means if you're just starting from scratch, you're like, how do I even get started? I don't even know what's happening here. But I think there's a second, a related but similar issue that you alluded to that I think is equally important, which is that, okay, I hate task managers. I really, really dislike them. I'm like, my brain can't handle it. I don't know. It's something about like the way I think. I just have a really hard time with these complex like task management systems. And I think one of the things that that the reasons is, and you brought this up with the bug thing, is the person that gets the most value in a large organization around a tracker like this is like the project management function, right? Like they're the ones who love Jira because it allows them to like understand everything, do reports, do all this customizable stuff, fit your Scrum process perfectly, whatever it is. But the people that have to do the work, the engineers, the designers, and the people filing bugs, like the end user experience stinks for them, right?
Yeah.
All of the overhead and work is on these like other end users who receive no value in return. Like I always say, like if your planning process puts all the effort on persona X, but all the value goes to persona Y, it's going to fail, right? Because like, it's like you're asking 100 people to do all this effort to make this other person on the other end, the like program manager's job easier. And I think a lot of these tools are built around that. So I think it's not only the complexity thing, it's that Linear is focused, and this pattern is focused on let's make the end user experience, the actual person who's in the product most of the time, really great and not just the buyer, right?
Yeah. And I think people overestimate how big the switching costs are. So Zoom is a really good example. A lot of people were in companies that had access to Blue Jeans or WebEx, but it just wasn't working for folks. So they went out and they sought out a better solution and they started to use it personally. And then all of a sudden they were able to start to get some traction in addition to selling to startups. I think another interesting example of this is social networks. So people thought, social networks were going to be a winner take all type of thing. Facebook was going to have the biggest social graph. And as a result, there was going to be really high switching costs. And so no other social network would be able to flourish. But since then, we've had Snapchat, we've had Discord, we've had Instagram, we've had WhatsApp. And it turns out that people, especially younger people, have pretty small and ever-changing social networks. And so they're willing to try out a new tool, seed it with a new social network, use it to talk to a different set of folks. And I think the same thing happens in enterprise.
But this kind of brings up a question of what conditions have to be true for this strategy or playbook to work? Because I, of course, have seen tons of angel investment pitches that essentially take the approach of, everybody hates X product and we're going to build, the quote unquote better version of it. And it's, it is kind of the simpler. But so for every Linear that seems to be working, there's probably 1,000 examples where this playbook doesn't work. And so you two mentioned a couple of these conditions. One, which I really liked, which is like, you've got to attack a market where the lock-in is low or the switching costs are low to get any sort of traction. But I'm interested, like, what other conditions do you feel like have to be met for this to actually be a reasonable path?